is anger or fear. For example, a person might become aggressive because they were enraged at another person, or they were afraid the other person might hurt them. But positive emotions actually also play a pretty big role in aggressive behavior as well. So, aggression can feel good, and that pleasure and the associated what is called hedonic reward is a really potent motivating force. In other words, aggressive behavior can be reinforced by positive feelings of power and dominance. So, aggression isn't just about I'm angry and I want to hit someone. It's also about how it feels good sometimes to get revenge on someone who has wronged you or who you perceive as having wronged you. That positive sensation works on the same neural circuits as other addictive behaviors such as drug use, gambling, and engaging in risky sexual behavior. It follows this trajectory where negative and positive emotion fit together. So I feel bad. I don't want to feel bad, so I'm looking for things that make me feel good. Well, we've always known that drugs and risky behavior are in that group, but aggression belongs in that group too. People seek it out when they're feeling bad, and that they use it like a tool to help themselves regulate their mood state. And when they do that, it activates these addiction circuits in the brain and it reinforces this behavior, which we call violence.
Wow. And yes, my people, that's the scientific proof right there. I mean, I look at it almost the same, man. Violence go all the way back to the beginning. I mean, even in different species, you got the bears fighting over territory. You got the lions coming in for the females. I mean, violence is a conflict from even from the beginning of science. They say two planets come together to one. You got the Big Bang Theory, and it's an embedded emotion into almost all living creatures. But a lot of creatures that step forward in violence or in an act of conflict, do you take the time to recognize the consequences to your action? And I speak to all the youth or anybody that's out there listening to our show. Hopefully, you take your time out to come up with a different way, because because my voice will tell you I believe in you. I know that you can do better. I know that another day will come that you will exclude that violence out your life. Or even if somebody that have done harm to you, forgiveness is a very virtuous thing to have in your heart. I mean, you got karma that could come back around. You got prison, and a lot of young men right now in prison
Right.
just they done something that they have regret. And I advocate for a person to meditate, prayer, call transition to change his mission, write us messages, or reach out to anybody before you do any type of acts of violence to another person that can cause harm. Because some things, like they said in Friday the First, when Witherspoon said that to Ice Cube, back in the days, we picked these
And
two
that
up
is
right
your
here.
two
That's
fists.
all we got. Eh, yes. And you can return the next day. You breathe. You get to be able to come back and fight again another day. And it's the same if your funds are down and you're thinking about doing harm to another person to get your finance, that illusion dollar bill in your pocket. It's just a moment of time. And you just need to embrace your moment in time and reflect and think about the consequences or think about the positivity of making a change in your life. It might take 2 years, it might take 10 years, it might take the next day. But I pray from the transition to changes mission that what we say here on this show can help you embrace a new life for yourself and your family. Because we are in certain uncertainty times, and it's going to take all of unity to come together to get up out of these certain times, uncertainty times, to make it a forward movement to new times.
That's right. That's right, King. And I also want to reiterate to the young women. The young women, you have one guy over here, he like you, and you have another guy over here and he like you, and boom, you're in the middle of a confusion, a tug of war of love. And Not understanding your actions also play a part in someone's life. Case in point, there was a murder in a town that I hold dear to my heart because it's my hometown. And there was a tug of war of love. The woman was in between two guys, and next thing you know, she ended up losing her life, and both of the guys ended up losing their lives as well because neither one wanted to let her go. So, to these young women out here, I'm speaking to you. If you feel like you can juggle the relationship or friendship of having two guys and one of them is potentially domestic violence, or if there's any type of red flags about him, leave. Don't begin a relationship. Don't begin a flirtationship. If you have children by them, choose one, not the other. Because what you're doing is creating a scenario for violence. And inadvertently, you might not get hurt. It might just be the two guys. But do you want to walk around with that blood on your hands? I don't think so.
And yes, my people, that is a good point there that Queen Summers is saying. It's just to me that take the time out for yourself, and it's all about meditation. It's hard times out here right now, and it is a lot of road rage. It's a lot of anger built up in people. I can see that. Um, I can feel that. The violence that's out here that I see rising numbers of homicides in different parts of the city, even in like Queen Summers just was explaining in our hometown. I think our murder rate is up to 104. I can't remember back in the 80s and the 90s. I mean, it was always senseless killings or looking at the news or people getting killed over starter jackets, over
Gold chains,
Michael Jordan
everything.
shoes, and all that. But it just seems like we are in the different times of an era of violence. And I feel like the only people that can change us or change the world is the people that live in it. And it's just, yes, just like I was explaining at the beginning of this violence topic, was conflict is in us. And it takes a lot of meditation to get that conflict out. There's a lot of emotions that a lot of people need to know about this, more than just the 6 or 10 that you learned in school or from talking to a psychic or whatever. I feel like we got thousands of emotions inside us. The human body is the most powerful being on this planet or in the universe more of. And from what I have learned in my life, if you just sit down in a dark room and be quiet, maybe listen to some jazz, or just meditate, talk to your higher power, and leap off of faith. No matter what's going on in the life cycle that you are in, there are opportunities to change or make a better choice. And it's always the best opportunity of growth. And that is just wait, meaning have patience, and better times and better ways of life will come to you abundantly. I truly believe that. And we need our communities to step up, but we mainly need our public service to step up. I mean, I hear the outreach from the public service of the police reaching out, trying to reach our community, knowing the fact that they have lost trust and maybe doing more damage to the trust of the communities, but they also at the same time trying to reach out.
And you know something, King? I read I can't remember the book, but I had read something that said every African American that's walking around in America suffers from the post traumatic stress syndrome of their ancestors. So a lot of things that we feel when we talk about distrust, when we talk about, paranoia, when we talk about all these different things that causes mental health issues in our community is due to the overall post traumatic stress syndrome. And so I urge all of our listeners who are African American to seek a health care professional, um, just to get your feelings out about how life is for you. as an African American in America, the things that you feel. Because a lot of people walk around harboring these emotions and don't even know where they came from. Like a little 5-year-old boy was walking around and he had a dog with him, and I asked him a question and he said it in such an aggressive tone. I said, "What? I wonder why this little 5-year-old child is so mad. What is he mad about?" But he has the environmental impact of post traumatic stress syndrome.
And yes, my queen, and that's one great topic that Transitional Changes Mission is going to have many episodes about the African American community, of the history, where I would say what had led us to the point to where we are at now. But right now, if this episode is just the overall picture of violence, it's no culture. I believe here in the States, we got so much stuff going on over here, we can't even pay attention to what's going on in South Africa or South America or China or Russia. I feel in my vessel that in the energy around the whole globe is uncertainty and anger. It might be kind of under the cover right now, but my energy feel it. And I try to walk around to reach out to any cultures or anybody, just like we spoke. Queen Summers was mentoring this 5-year-old when we stated that she's going to talk about that a little bit more in depth into a new episode about how we mentor our youth. And there's no color base to that. We talk to anybody because before COVID happened, we had a large base of violence that was heading up. You had a lot of school shootings. You had a lot of road rage incidents that was basically
And
just
robberies.
senseless harm
Yes,
to another
yes.
human.
So, in order to reduce violence, we must first gain a deeper understanding of why people are violent. To use a metaphor, there's a lot of mechanics who are working on a car, but they don't know how the car works. There's thousands of people working to reduce violence every day. And like King Summer stated, it goes down from the public servants to the nonprofit organization like Transitional Changes Mission Incorporated, trying to make the world a less violent place. But we don't know how it works. So what we're doing in this show is we're studying the car. We're studying the brain and human psychology, trying to understand what motivates people to be aggressive. That way, we know where to look when we're trying to fix the problem.
And let me say something on that. Let me say something on that, Queen. You just hit a great metaphor, paraphrase that I like to say that you're talking about a car. I read a mentor stating saying, how does a marriage of 30 or 50 years hold together? And that person read back to that person stating, I have a car. That same car that you pulled up in and it was sitting in the driveway with the cover over it. I don't have that. That was my first vehicle that I ever bought. It was messed up, had no engine in it, and that was 30 years ago. Almost like 40 to 30 years ago. And now that if I take the cover off, it runs like it came off the showroom. The person was saying, what does that mean? He was saying, I built on that car each year with patience. Now you just heard I
Right.
said 30 years I don't have that car. That's a long time. Just like a marriage. But right now in this era, I see the youth divorcing. A lot of divorcing going on. A lot of violence going on. And the thing is, what I'm going to end that metaphor with is what Transitional Changes Mission is about. We will not
Absolutely.
give up.
And also, we're trying to fix the problem, but we cannot do this alone. It's a collective effort that we encourage you to join us at Transitional Changes Mission Incorporated in finding sustainable solutions to.
And that takes the community to come together and
at transitionalchangesmission.wordpress.com. According to a joint report by the Armed Conflict Location and Event Data Project, they're called ACLIT and Militia Watch. ACLIT is a research group that studies and maps political violence and protests worldwide. Militia Watch follows developments in the United States. The following states are in the moderate category: include California,